Hello students, this is Uttevasu from Primary University. So today we will learn about the primary memory. Now we all know that there are two main parts of the primary memory. One is RAM, means the random access memory, and the read-only memory known as popularly ROM. So we will learn about something RAM and ROM, their types, and some of their functions. So let's proceed. Now what is primary memory? So the primary memory, or which can say it's a main memory or the internal memory, often referred to simply as a memory which is only one directly accessible by the central processing unit. Now the CPU continuously reads instructions stored there and executes them whenever they are required. So the main memory or the primary memory is directly or indirectly connected to the CPU via the memory bus. It is actually two buses in address bus and the data bus. So without the bus, the CPU cannot make the contract between the main memory and the CPU itself. The CPU first sends a number through an address bus, and the number is called the memory address, which indicates the desired location of data. So it can first detect the data, then it reads or writes the data itself using the data bus. So first the address bus will detect the data, and then the data bus will execute the function. Now it is the only memory that is directly accessible by CPU. The CPU continuously reads instructions stored there and executes them as required. The different primary storage devices are the RAM, ROM, and the cache memory. Now there are different types of RAM and ROM. Now we're starting with the RAM. The first we all know is the flip-flop gates, which is also known as the SRAM or static RAM. Then the dynamic RAM and the NV or non-volatile RAM. And in case of ROM, there are masked, the PROM or the programmable ROM, the erasable programmable ROM, the electronically erasable programmable ROM. Starting with the RAM. The RAM allows stored data to be accessed directly by CPU, which already we know, by any random order. Now, what is the process? Now, this so-called RAM access data instruction can be read from or written into RAM in some random order. Random order means we can say that they can read data in any memory location, like 1111 or like that. The RAM does not need to scan all the memory locations starting from 000 into index. It stores temporary data of currently running applications and play a vital role in computer operations. So it deals mainly with the current running data. So that is why you can say that whenever you are playing a game in your mobile or in the laptop, if they are getting slower, so people will tell you that okay, your primary memory or RAM need to be upgraded. No, because when you are playing those games or applications in your device, so actually RAM is getting as much as space, because if you run a huge amount of application, a big application with a very less amount of primary storage, means RAM, so it will be difficult for the machine to run those because of the less capacity of the RAM. And it's a volatile memory, that is the data will be vanishes or it will not be stored when the power is off. So there are two types, the SRAM and the DRAM. Now what's a DRAM? It's such a kind of RAM that stores each bit of data in a separate capacitor, and the capacitor can either charged or not. Now these two states can be taken represented by either 0 or the 1, means the binary numbers. The main characteristics of capacitors is that they leaks the electric charge gradually. So automatically, so when the charge is finished and the data will be lost. So means it will stop its functions, and this will result in turning back the one state into the resolution to zero. Means if it is on, there is one; if it is off, then it will be zero. So because of this, there is need of extra power supply for DRAM to using extra circuit. And this extra circuit is known as the refresh circuit and process of providing electricity known as refreshing. So DRAM needs a power backup. Now what is SRAM? So from name we can say it's a static random memory. It's volatile in the conventional sense of data that is eventually lost when the memory is not powered. It's faster than the DRAM as it uses a 6 transistor configuration. It is more upgraded in nature. And it also has like a direction of current that fixes the value of 0 to 1 means on off. And it's extensive than DRAM, and this memory need not to be refreshed frequently. So that is why the SRAM has the more capacity and has more popular in the market. Now what is NVRAM? It is the only RAM that can retain data even after electricity is cut off. There is a main difference between the volatile RAM and the NVRAM. In case of volatile RAM, if the power is off, the data will be vanished. But in case of NVRAM, when the power is also off, it can retain the data. In fact, it is volatile RAM equipped with external power supply. So that's the interesting thing. It takes power from system battery at the time when computer is turned off. So it can take the backup from the power from the system and can retain the data for a certain period of time. Currently, the most known form of both NVRAM and EEPRAM memory are flash memory. So if we all know what the flash memory is. The floating gate transistors are commonly used in this category of RAM. Now we are coming to the another important part of primary memory, that is ROM, means read-only memory. The data stored on the ROM cannot be modified easily, that is, can be modified only slowly or with very difficulty, with in case of some laser operations or something like that. It is a non-volatile memory, that is, it does not lose data when the power is cut off, so it is static in nature. And the different types are the mask, the PROM, the EPROM, and the EEPROM. Now starting with the mask ROM, or we can say it's an MROM. It's a type of read-only memory whose contents are programmed by the integrated circuit manufacturer or rather by the user. The user cannot erase content and they are not allowed to write new contents on its master. We can also say it is known as the manufacturer program now. So whenever the things are getting manufactured, the machine or the memory is getting manufactured, means they are producing it. So whatever they will write on the chip, that will not be erased or cannot be modified. So that is why they are called the manufacturer program ROM. Then the programmable ROM or the PROM. It is manufactured as a blank memory and then the data is written on it. It is also called the burning the PROM. One step from the master is the PROM, which is purchased in an unprogrammed state. So it is more upgraded than the MROM. So if you look at the content of the unprogrammed PROM, the data is made up by entirely of ones. The process of writing your data to the PROM involves a special piece of equipment called PROM burner, just like we all know that, just like the CD burning procedure. So in case of ROM burning modulo, we need a PROM burner. The device programmer writes data to the device one word at a time by applying an electrical charge to the input pins of the chip. Once a PROM has been programmed in this way, its contents can never be changed. So it's like one you will enter those burning things, and they will stay forever. You see, unless and otherwise they get destroyed, you cannot modify that. Then we will talk about the EPROM. And EPROM, from name we can sense the thing. The erasable and programmable ROM is programmed in exactly the same manner as a PROM. To erase an EPROM, you simply expose the device to a strong source of ultraviolet light, means the UV light. Or maybe we can say a window on the top of the device allows the light to reach the silicon. By doing this, you essentially reset the entire chip to its initial unprogrammed state. So once again, it will start from the zero. Though more expensive than PROMs, their ability to be programmed makes EPROMs an essential part of the software development and testing process, as well as rather than only for startup instructions. So So these are more expensive than PROMs, but still you can say, so if we can get the light from the windows, or we can get the ultraviolet, the things will be erased. So yes, things can get erased, but that is the more advantage of this. So if you need to modify something, some instructions, some data, so you can. So it is not like that the whole thing is in the hand of the manufacturer. The user or the software developer can change something. So that is why the EPROM is more demand. It has more demand, or is more popular in the market. Now, from the EPROM, we are going to EEPROM, means the electronically erasable programmable read-only memory. It is a special type of PROM that can be erased only by exposing it to an electrical charge. So previously it was by the ultraviolet, but here it can only use the electrical charge. Like other ROM, it retains the memory even if the power is switched off. Data is written or erased only byte at a time, so it's very slow in process. The EPROMs are electrically erasable and programmable. Internally, they are similar to the EPROMs, but erased operation is accomplished electrically rather than by exposure to the ultraviolet. So that is the main difference with the EPROM and the EPROM. And the byte within an EPROM may be erased and rewritten. Once written, the new data will remain in the device forever, or at least until it is electrically erased. So that's a common thing. Unless and otherwise you are doing the electrical way, it will stay there forever. The primary trade-off for this improved functionality is the higher cost, though the cycles are also significantly longer than rise to the RAM. So you would not want to use an EEPROM for your main system memory. So it's more vulnerable in nature rather than the RAM. So it will be better to, if you are not a software developer, if you're not running a very huge server, so it will be better to use the EPROM rather than the EEPROM. So I think you understand something about those RAM and ROM things. So in the next class, we will do something more about the CPU. So till then, bye bye.